Welcome to Lesson 4 in my series on how to read Gabriel music notation. And today we will learn the location for the sharps and flats. In other words, the black keys on a keyboard. And so far we've learned that you really should locate the note D, and the three white keys to the right and to the left of D are easy to identify: A, B, C, and E, F, and G. And we will learn that the black keys are modifications of those white keys. After this lesson, you should be able to read any Gabriel music notation. Now, we don't have the time values yet, and I will cover that in my next program. But if you go to my website, thirdeaglemedia.com, there are more than 90 pages of music already transcribed into Gabriel notation. And from now on, it's really a question of practice on your part. I mean, practicing any keyboard or any activity is how you get good at it. So, of course, you need to be able to read the music before you can play it. And that's been the purpose of these programs. Now, if you go to my website, as I say, there are over 90 pages of music available. This is a fairly simple piece, Onward Christian Soldiers. I would start with an easy piece and just, pluck it out one finger at a time, one note at a time. And that's how you learn how to any keyboard. And up at the top, I do have a small key to understanding where the notes are. Just a reminder, a little chart, so that it should be easy for you to begin playing. You can play the piano right now. I would start with the melody, as I say, start with the easy pieces. In any event, let's get started with learning where the black keys are located in Gabriel music notation. We already know where to find the white keys on a keyboard and the location of the black keys and their names. On this program, we will learn how to notate the black keys specifically. And once again, we find D first. And the black key above D can be called either D sharp or E flat, and the black key below D can be called either C sharp or D flat. So let's look and see how these are notated in Gabriel music notation. Now we are looking at the treble clef. Therefore, we will look at this D on the keyboard, which is the D above middle D. This D is middle D. This D above is towards the upper part of the keyboard. And to the left of D, we find D flat or C sharp. And to the right of D, D sharp or E flat. And that's all you need to learn for the two black keys. With traditional notation, there's more than a dozen ways to indicate the various scales. With Gabriel, there is only one chromatic scale. So let's look now at the three black key combination, and for that we will look at the bass clef, even though the locations are the same in both the bass and the treble clef. So once again, we will locate D in the bass clef, which is the D below middle D, and the E, G, F line features G flat, F sharp. The middle black key is found between the two lines which are closer together, G sharp and A flat. And on the line above the two lines which are closer together, we find B flat and A sharp, and the same locations at the lower part of the G clef. And in fact, those are the same locations on the treble clef as well. So let's take a look at several different combinations of the black keys. And for that, let's go once again to the bass clef, and we'll look at several of the very common major chords. For example, the A major chord begins with A, C sharp, E, and A. That is the A major chord, and as you can see, it has 3 white keys and 1 black key. Let's take a look at the B major chord, starting with the note B, D sharp, F sharp, and B. So we find 2 sharps in the B major chord. C major is the most common chord used in all of music because there are no black keys. C, E, G, and C. With Gabriel notation, we are going to change that preference because the black keys are just as easy to play, if not easier, than the white keys. The only reason this chord is used so often with music is because it is easier to read, not because it is easier to play. Let's take a look at the B flat major chord, and notice here that the black key is slightly different shape than the sharp. In my book, All Keys Are Easy, which are found on my website, I use this shape entirely for both the flats and the sharps. However, I believe in the future I will use this shape for the flats, even though they indicate the exact same key. In other words, B flat key is the same as A sharp on a keyboard. B flat, D, F, and B flat. That is the B major chord. Let's take a look at some of the chords in the treble clef. Of course, these can be played in both the bass or the treble clef. I'm just showing you how they are indicated in the 2 different clefs. Let's take a look at D major. That would be this D, then F sharp, and then A. And actually, I could play the D up above it. And that's the D major chord. E flat begins with this note, E flat, G, B flat, and E flat. Once again, notice that I have used a slightly different shape for the flat sign as opposed to a sharp sign. Please note that in Gabriel notation, the white keys are indicated by white notes, the black keys by black notes. A far superior way to read music. Let's take a look at the E major scale in the treble clef. E, G sharp, B, and E once again for the E major scale, and F major. F, A, C, and F again. Therefore, we have now learned the location on Gabriel notation, the location for the 3 black key grouping and the 2 black key grouping. It's very easy once you learn those 12 notes, the white keys, the 7 white keys, and the 5 black keys, then you can read any music in Gabriel notation. That concludes Lesson 4 in my series on learning how to read Gabriel music notation, which is a far superior system to traditional notation. And as I said before, please go to my website, thirdeaglemedia.com, look under the Music tab, and you will find many examples of sharps, flats, all the keys in one chromatic scale. It's much easier to learn. And I would start, if I were you, with a simple piece. Now, for example, the Bridal Chorus of Wagner. Look it up. choose a piece that you are familiar with. I mean, everybody knows the bridal chorus from Wagner. You've got both sharps, flats. You've got the white keys. It's easy to hunt and peck. Is how you will learn how to play a piano. And there are many other programs on the internet for technique, and I'm not going to get into that. But once you have mastered Gabriel notation, I guarantee you I will be publishing many more musical examples for your benefit. And there's no reason why the music industry cannot adopt Gabriel music notation, because it is far superior to any previous or traditional music notation.